clear our minds. Let's get ready to have fun, everyone. Hello, how are you doing? Good to see you. Boy, if you're not having fun in here, well, what are you in here for? It's time just to have fun. You can learn a lot when you are in a state of fun. Ever think about that? I think sometimes in this world we live in the hustle and bustle of the world, we forget how to be kids just to have some fun. So have fun, everyone. Peace. Invoking favor upon everybody, nothing missing, nothing broken be in your life. I just don't say that to be saying it. I actually mean it, and I actually live it. I hope you do too. And happy birthday and anniversaries to those who are having one. Happy Constitution Day for those in the United States. How about that? Welcome, everybody. So good to see y'all. Hey, Brian, Milky Way Messengers in the house, along with Lois, Cajun Queen Tarot, and David Barry from over the pond in the beautiful nation of Wales, I guess. Yes. Man, there's just so many people in here. Al, Big Al, how you doing? Pure Love Ascension. Susie Q, how you do? Nina the Mystic, hello. I believe you're from Canada. So good to see you. Angel, I saw your emails. Just having a chance to respond to them. Marguerite, hello. Marcia, how are you doing, my dear? So good to see you. I want to give a shout out to Lisa and Marlene, longtime subscribers and listeners. Lynn and I met with them last night for dinner and had a delightful time. Safe driving, folks, and favor is with you as you traverse across the great state of Colorado. Have a good one. It was just a delightful time. Lisa let me show you this, folks. I mean, this is just beautiful. She gave that as a gift. And talk about crystals. Yeah, just beautiful. And I got to tell you what, folks, it's representative of the quality of souls that this community has. It's when we met, it was like as if they were just longtime friends. And I think that's how it is for so many of us. And I do believe that we will get a chance to meet us all. Just so many good people. Amber, good to see you. Girl with no name, Spooner. Hello, Timothy. Hello, Jama. Just so many good people. And yeah, Marcia, it is just absolutely beautiful. And I think it represents the soul of this group. Just sweet, sweet people. We had just a great time, and wow, humbled. So anyway, Trina will be on tomorrow. Second look. That's always revelation and revealing, I would say. So here's T. David, I know it's late over, well, not early evening over there in your part of the world. Cheers. Hello, Wayne. How are you doing? From London. Well, cheers, my friend. Hello, Chloe. Good to see y'all. The Master Troy. Hello. I love the names. This is what it's all about. Jeannie, good to see you. Yesterday's video, wowza. I mean, seriously, folks, that was just a freaking mind bender. I mean, it will jack with your head, and it just get used to it. The worm is planted, and as we continue to go forward, now we have to weigh it. Weigh the spirits is what I think the Bible says, and other books have said as well. Test them. see of their character, which indicates that I guess character carries over too. I mean, think about that. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, so, you know, which is positive because it implies that, well, there is an afterlife. Yes, no, yes. I'm not one of those who simply believe that we go back to a collective consciousness, but maybe I'm the rogue cell in there. I don't know. Maybe we are all rogue cells in here. It would seem because, you know, face it. I mean, we got the knowledge right in here, right? So it's filtering through the whole system. Memory is now being implanted, recall. And so if consciousness is transmuted, transferred, transcended to this ethereal realm, that means I'm going to carry that with me. Now, if I have been through this world in which, again, if you stop and meditate on that, it's so finite. It's saying the arrogance is that, well, since you're here, sucker, you're going to stay here. Well, if we're a part of this cosmic thing, I mean, you know, it's part of our DNA says we're from the stars. Well, then to repeat here says that the rest of that doesn't exist, and I don't buy it. My point to all of this is, how many of us are just going to go, up yours? You think you're going to do what? I mean, we're becoming rebels here, which implies we're going to be rebels over there. Are we going to be rebels of trouble for the tribbles on the other side? I don't know, but I think that if evolution, progression exist in the ethereal realm, then we are definitely going to be progressed, baby. Yeah. Yeah, you talk about the hippies taking over. We are bad news for the other side. As the famous line in City Slicker said when the cook buried the trail boss and said, you know, Lord, we give you Curly. Try not to piss him off. And I think that that could be very well held for us as well. I'm just telling you, I think it's true. So let's talk about paradise. I mean, if we're going to go ahead and bust over the perceptions, I think we got to talk about this. Man, I mean, you go and you stay in the metaphysical realm, why, anything's possible. All we have to do is meditate on it, focus it, right. Now, my religious indoctrination said, pray. It's still the same thing. You're exercising mental capabilities to an unseen something, which means is that we're practicing telepathy. Yeah. If you're an empath, you know very well what that's like. And I'm finding as I continue to progress that when I get around, you know, groups of people, you really begin to feel and sense the energies. And you have to stay focused and disciplined. So, all right, we talked about we're all infected with this mind virus. It's a mind coitus across the board. And I think we'll discuss it more with Trina. I really want to get her take on this. So let's just project forward now. Paradise. It's a topic that virtually has a different meaning for every person. Maybe that's why it doesn't exist. Not saying it doesn't. But if every person has a different perspective, how do you build a consensus? How do you build a majority thought to attach to? I don't know. I mean, no matter what you look at it, I can assure you, all of us have been pre-programmed. It's just a fact. We have. And we need to take a look at what that program. And so I did put together a little program. And by the way, we're going to finish up on Mr. Insider on the bloodlines. So I put this together, and because it's interesting, we can build. I like to play golf, and playing golf is, it's one of those games that it had to be invented by the gods, but it's playing in a parkland, finely trimmed fairways, meticulous manicured greens. I mean, yeah. And then you got the, cart that always comes by, and get your favorite libation and a little something to eat on top of that. But yeah, that, I guess you could say in one sense that would be, I don't know, a paradise. The thing is that in 10,000 years of recorded history, man has built fantastic structures. We know tens of thousands of years old, many of which, have lasted thousands of years. And the one thing man has not been able to build in government or anything is paradise. And maybe it's because it's so complex, we just relegate it over to religions. All religions promise paradise after death. Yeah, it's the little caveat there. It's like, oh, man. And by the way, many of it is only on earth. It's a resurrection of pleasures. I ask you, define pleasures. Oh, yeah. Because pleasure, again, has many different connotations depends on who you're talking to. One person's pleasure could be another person's pain, and vice versa. Okay. It also says that it's a place that has been undefiled by man. All right. Maybe just call me super critical. I don't know. But if it's been undefiled by man, and man is going to go there, then wouldn't it be then defiled? Kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? All right. I just move on. All right. So let's just go for the written history. 10,000 years. Let's see. Man has built armies, has killed others of his kind, has destroyed nature, has created religion, created weapons, created diseases, created empires, created great cities. It would seem on the surface that we have this remarkable ability of manifesting thought. I mean, folks, all of these had to start with a thought. And then to say that we can't create paradise, what? I mean, if we can think a thing, can't we build a thing? So we've got, a double-edged sword here that's, the door swinging both ways. But no matter how you slice it and dice it, we never can build a paradise. That's just weird. We all strive for it. Isn't that what you look for in a sense of a relationship? Love, companionship, trust. I mean, that's a form of a paradise, right? I mean, you couldn't live in a paradise if you didn't trust everyone. If you mistrusted everything that was there, that ain't paradise anymore, honey. That's hell. It kind of sounds like a little bit like Earth, doesn't it? So I found this curious, that there's no record of any of those things. Wars, armies, now maybe they took place pre-comet impact, going back 13,000 years ago. We have no record of any of that. I don't know, is that implying that paradise was here at one time? Is it because of this mind virus that we have been somehow programmed that it's impossible? I don't know. But it does, well, beg the question. So exactly what is paradise? Now, what we do here is that, all right, we're going to define the subject matter. No more ambiguity. Let's see what our species defines paradise as. I mean, did we not learn yesterday that there is no original thought in man? Now, it depends on where you're born as to what you've been programmed. Different parts of the world, different meanings completely. And as you go back through the annals of history, you see how these have morphed coming forward. So, paradise ultimately comes from an Iranian word that the Greeks modified into the word paradisos, meaning enclosed park. Well, I mean, that's where we get the Garden of Eden, wasn't it? Some translations actually don't say a garden. It actually says park. All right, so the Hellenistic Greek, the paradosis, was also used in the Septuagint. That's an early Greek translation of Jewish scriptures. And you see right there, you already have what we call one step down on the duplication. You're taking a Jewish language and now fitting it into another language, and it never works out well. All right, anyway, in the reference to the Garden of Eden, so it's not a garden. It was a park. Interesting. Early Christian writers also used the word paradiosos for both heaven and for the place where righteous souls await resurrection. Now, isn't it odd? We get all ourselves tied into a knot because is it incarnation or is it a resurrection? I mean, isn't it the same? I mean, if you're going to resurrect something that was there before, well, that is an incarnation of what was. These senses of the paradosis, entered into late Latin as paradisos, and then into Anglo-French and later Middle English as paradis. Though originally used in theological senses in English, paradise has also come to refer to a more earthly state and places of delight as well. So it's not heaven. It's here on earth. And places of delight. Well, some people love, roller coasters. Other people are deathly afraid of that. You could actually have them to have a potential life-threatening situation up here, which would affect their body. Weird, isn't it? So what is it? Well, I think that's something we have to find out. I mean, you look at it, you have this idyllic place of, I don't know, now this is a garden where animals and people are all loving one another. Major religious doctrines founded around this. Jehovah Witnesses, they preach this earthly paradise. In fact, the Jewish culture does not believe in a heaven. They believe that they'll be here ruling this planet forever. So it really kind of depends on what your religion. Speaking of religion, it is a place of exceptional happiness and delight. Extremely ambiguous. Happiness and delight is really by perception, is it not? If I say, David, Barry, I can assure you, when you go there, you are going to be just absolutely happy, and it's going to be a delight for you. Well, come to find out, it's exactly the opposite of what his view is. Now we got a problem here. And we do. So the term paradise is often used as a synonym for the Garden of Eden, as we said, before the expulsion of Adam and Eve. An earthly paradise is often conceived of as existing in a time, get this, folks, when heaven and earth were very close together or actually touching, and when humans and gods had free and happy association. Many religions also include the notion of a fuller life beyond the grave, a land in which there will be an absence of suffering and a complete satisfaction of bodily desires. Well, this is getting more carnal all the time. Accounts of a primordial earthly paradise in the higher religions range from that of a garden-like, that's Judaism, Christianity, Islam, to that of a golden age of human society at the beginning of each cycle of human existence, Buddhism, Hinduism. A final state of bliss is variously conceived of as a heavenly afterlife, Islam, Christianity, with the union with the divine, that comes from Hinduism, or an external condition of peace and changelessness, comes from Buddhas. I can point every one of these belief systems and how they've morphed into every one of these religions. They're kind of like interchangeable. But this is the meaning of the word. We're so cavalier in the way we throw words around. But nevertheless, so modern day religion, which is completely different from what it was 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, and as a result has turned the meaning and the perception to fit the modern day belief systems. I mean, if you presented this 2,000 years ago to the Gnostics, to the Essenes, they'd look at you and go, what kind of crap are you believing in? Y'all are weird. Yeah. And then when you see something like this, beautiful. But the thing about it is we're again bought into this illusion, paradise. So if there's all these earthly delights, who the hell's doing the gardening? Who's doing the kitchen work, the cooking? Who's picking up all the crap? Oh, are you saying that we've ascended beyond that? No, 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 no. Let's bring it back down to what it said. Bodily pleasures and delights. Well, if you got a body, and let's say you like chocolate, Thank you. Well, if you're going to consume it in, something, I guess, is going to have to be consumed out unless you have a completely different body. Well, that's an odd one. And depending on what your view is, it's like, well, it's going to be one step below the ultimate. Winged creatures somehow ministering to every one of your needs. In Christianity, paradise is pictured as a place of rest and refreshment in which the righteous dead enjoy the glorious presence of God. I thought his presence was everywhere. Oh, I see. I forgot the word dead. Okay, well, there you go. In its view of the heavenly afterlife, Islam views paradise as a pleasure garden in which the blessed experience the greatest sensual and spiritual happiness. I mean, if you become a martyr, you get the gift of the 72 virgins. Now, if you're gay, I guess you're screwed. But anyway, I digress. Yeah. That's completely contrary to this holiness thing, man. I mean, we're talking sex here, folks. Now, I don't know how that works, having sex in front of God. Oh, well, we do it all the time anyway. So, anyway. But this is what it would be. It's the concept. Some kind of cat sitting somewhere looking down. Well, I contend he was the one, if it exists at all. Someone had to come up with sex. And it's clearly, it would have been a solo effort to begin with. All right, you can go from there. Just take it on your own. But you see, this picture implies procreation. It means man, female, get together. They do the nasty. Oh, I guess it won't be nasty there. But anyway, and I don't know, how does it work for the women? I mean, childbirth, what? Is it suddenly going to be like an orgasm? I don't know. But you see, this is part of the programming. You know, it's idyllic. Maybe, maybe not. Now, there is a place called Shangri-La, Shambhala, means obscure. It means happiness, giving, a source of happiness. It's a semi-mythical kingdom in the Tibetan Buddhist cosmology, the only pure land which exists on earth, while playing an important part in the karmatic cycle of Tantras. Shambhala is also a popular myth in its own right. Located somewhere north of Tibet, Shambhala is governed by a line of 32 wise and powerful kings who guard the true doctrine of Buddhism through a period of world history, which sees a decline in religious values. This is the prophecy. When this decline is at its lowest depth, the final king of Shambhala, Ruda Cochrane, will emerge from his kingdom with a great army, subdue the forces of evil, and establish a golden age. In some of the headlines, you could say that worldwide, the organized religions are definitely losing ground. Is this a correlation? I don't know. Let's talk about Elysium, because Elysium comes from the Romans, Greeks. I think we'll see here in a second. But now Elysium is a total different construct as well. Elysium, also called Elysium Fields or the Elysium Plain, in Greek mythology, originally the paradise, to which heroes on whom the gods confer immortality were sent. Now, this puts it in a different light. So the gods could confer to the slaves, us, man, and it's very obvious that in so many different theologies, ideologies, philosophies, man was created as a slave. We don't like to think that. It probably was retained from the Minoan religion. In Homer's writing, the Elysian Plain was a land of perfect happiness at the end of the earth, on the banks of Oceanus. A similar description was given by Hesiod on the Isles of the Blessed. In earlier authors, only those specially favored by the gods entered Elysium and were made immortal. Now, there was a movie out there, Brad Pitt, I think, was in it, and Jodie Foster. Anyway, about the same concept, but with the ultra rich who now took the position because they had found the formula for body rejuvenation, the sense of immortality. It had to be outside the Earth's atmosphere, if y'all remember the movie. So by the time Hesiod had wrote this, however, Elysium was a place of the blessed dead. And from Pindar on, entrance was gained by a righteous life. Later writers made it particularly part of Hades. Did you know that? And so it was morphed into Christian religion, and some could say almost Judaism to an extent that, well, yes, paradise is the upper regions of hell, Tartarus. Okay, well, now that gives a whole thought, and trust me, those of you who come out of that teaching, you know what I'm talking about. So, for the Greeks and the Romans, this was a place, I imagine many of it saw it as a place of learning. I could dig that. I think one of the greatest things that we've missed from, ancient Rome, Greek, is the amphitheaters, where you could go and listen, participate, debate, all in a civil manner, with a cosmopolitan audience from many different regions of the world. We can't do that today. We've lost the ability, and quite frankly, we're an ignorant race. We've lost complete civility as to the exchange of ideas without trying to proselytize or beat a person up. Many stories about the place being a place where wisdom is gained. I could dig that. I really could. Now, again, one of the things that are missing in all these abstracts is that, well, if you got all these people here, what, they don't have to eat anymore? Are we just internally in our prime life of our bodies here? Is that become representative over there? You see paradise? I don't know. Nirvana, the same thing. In eschatology texts, paradise is imagined as a place of the virtuous dead. Again, in Christian and Islamic understanding, heaven is a paradisical relief. In old Egyptian beliefs, the other world is Aru, the reed fields of ideal hunting and fishing grounds where the dead lived after judgment. For the Celts, it was the fortunate Isles of Megmel. For the classical Greeks, Elysium fields was the paradoxical land of plenty, where the heroic and righteous dead hoped to spend eternity. The Vedic Indians held that the physical body was destroyed by fire, but recreated and reunited in the third heaven in a state of bliss. In Zoroastrian Avesta, the best existence and the house of song are places of the righteous dead. I like the houses of song. Sounds like houses of the holy. Anyway, I digress. On the other hand, in cosmological context, paradise describes the world before it was tainted by evil. The concept is a theme in art and literature, particularly in the pre-Enlightenment era, a well-known representative of which is John Milton's Paradise Lost. What is this leading us to? Well, you ask me, it sounds awfully close to this virus. Something happened to us. And then the question really can be, well, today, let's say we could define paradise. How would we define it? If we saw what a first century man, a man of 500 BCE, and have us in a room, we're going to come out with totally different constructs of what this paradise is. So it's an interesting part of the equation when you look at it. 1 second, please. Thank you. I mean, it really is. I mean, you can see themes, but there seems to be a common thread here, is that it's not in the upper regions. And so, all right, is that the hindrance? I mean, we construct governments. We construct, like today, it's the Constitution Days. The day Constitution of the United States was signed. That was a document of amazing intelligence, grasping concepts that today, unfortunately, most Americans have no idea about. I mean, if we can think a thing, can't we build it? But again, I think I know the answer, and I think we all do. We see it represented by the fact that these are ambiguous concepts, defined very broadly with words that are never actually expressed into detail, and maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know. I mean, is the fact that, was there ever paradise here? I think there would have to be. I mean, for the thought would have to come from either the reflection or the evidence that it one time did exist. Of course, you know, modern day religion puts it all back into the garden before the fall. But if we fell, what did we fall from? If we fell from grace, define grace. Grace means unmerited favor. But from whom or for what? We don't remember. We have no idea of our past, and thus we have the Oberus chasing our tail around and around. And I think it's time that we break these paradoxes. Well, I'm saying I don't have the answer to them all. I'm just presenting the case. I'm just seeing it here. Mr. Gruffy, what are you saying? If man built paradise, it couldn't be a paradise. Human presence and paradise are mutually exclusive, like squares and circles. Yeah. But then if I think about that, let's project that out. It means that there is then either a veil or a force that would hinder that. I mean, we're clearly defining boundaries here. I don't know. And again, I happen to agree with you. If man is in the presence of something like that, the Matrix had it right. Humankind is a virus within itself. Wherever we go, we multiply, we change, we inject the DNA in the locality. We absolutely recreate the earth itself. Man, this gets deep, folks. Zoo. Yeah, it does. Folks, it's just the thing. I mean, where else can we come in to discuss these things? You can't be doing this, at the local water cooler. Hey, Joe, what do you think about this whole concept of paradise? The different religions, well, right there, you violated most corporate policies. Well, how can you begin to bring up such a sensitive subject? Don't you know that there are people here who will be traumatized by hearing this? Yeah. If you're ever in a restaurant, many of you know, you inevitably start talking about subjects that no one is going to be thinking about, particularly in a dinner situation. But we talk and we do. Inevitably, they hear because we can hear them. And it's when you start getting this look. You ever had that happen? Person sitting right behind you gives this look. Well, there you go. It's wild, isn't it? I know. Well, we got enough time here to where I think we can finish this up. It's an interesting thought, and who knows, maybe we can build paradise amongst ourselves. I've lived in a commune situation, and I got to tell you, it was cool for a while, but inevitably, change comes and people change. All right, we're going to get this thing wrapped up here. So we left off where the question was to the insider of the ruling family. Do you have any connection with the Anunnaki that the Sumerians wrote of? How close to the truth is the Book of Illuminus, the trilogy, The Eye of the Pyramid, The Golden Apple, The Leviathan by Robert Shea and Robert Anton Wilson? Is Moroni, who is mentioned in the Book of Mormon, really an extraterrestrial from the Pleiades? And are such beings still interacting with humanity at present? Well, there's a loaded question. Tell you what, Buckaroo, let's just see what the man has to say. Answer: they are not here anymore. That was another error. Their knowledge was not theirs. Knowledge is always passed on, hence it is being presented now. So they're not here anymore. Well, there's probably some people that would argue that one. He goes on to say, I have not read them, ? If it is getting critical acclaim and being promoted heavily, you know what time it is. It may contain some truths, but they will be floating in a sea of perversions. There he uses that term again. No one is saying that authors are doing it knowingly, by the way. Some do, praise and recognition loving ones, the ones who sold their soul. I still don't know how you do that. Who are you selling your soul to? Some don't, and the latter get noticed and promoted because it serves them. Nothing is easier than to write a best-selling book, a hit album, a movie script, if you know what the highest promoter's agenda is. Wow. Mormons are like the other religious people controlled by it. The ones who control their prophets, sons of gods, angels, saints, etc. In this realm, a soul, which was in a physical body, once cannot become an angel. The soul cannot transform into that again in this realm. I repeat that firmly. Yet it is claimed that Moroni was resurrected as an angel in this realm. Mormonism has a core of truth like other religions, so reading the text will not harm you as long as you are cautious. All right, you put the word cautious in there. So that tells me there is potential danger. What are the foods that are used to control us? Is there anything we should or shouldn't consume that would help us to see the reality more clearly? What constitutes temperance? Is it moderation in all things or more than that? That's a pretty good question. You think about it. See above for the food part. It is one part of the manipulation. It is used in combination with 6 other methods of control in your daily life. If you can delete a few from your life or have less exposure to them, the effect will reduce dramatically. So that's what's happening to us. But this is not what will make you more self-conscious. These methods are used to wear you out, lower your quality of life. They are interlinked. Wow. Holy crap. You think about this. Our bodies get old unless you're speaking to your body for cell rejuvenation and cell regeneration. Don't ever underestimate the placebo effect. To wear you out, to make you tired. The methods are 1, food and drink, 2, medication, healthcare, including vitamins, 3, electrical waves, including your PC, cell phone, house electric, network, everything chipped, 4, media, be it TV, radio, newspapers, streaming, magazines, internet, the most obvious method, yet the most enslaving. Music, sounds, different methods than media, used in different ways, although through most times through the media. 6, air pollution. 7, education system, including known literature, which is mostly corrupt, be it history, psychology, metaphysiology, philosophy, art, science, poetry, religion, even fairy tales told to infants. That's what I said yesterday, folks. The virus. Politics takes these methods and bombards you with this every day and make sure they are maintained. Folks, I'm going to tell Americans this right now. Turn their TV off. Don't get involved in the political parties. Listen, it's like the worship of a god. When people stop worshiping the god dies. And I keep telling you, this is going to be a serious mind worm. This one coming around, it will literally transmute hate. It will literally transmute hate through the medium. You don't want it. The rule is, if promoted, praised, applauded, critically acclaimed, free, be very wary. Be it food, medicines, latest technological product, artist, politician, musician, book, show, beverage, etc. Some of these allegedly stand the test of time. That is orchestrated for a reason. Problem is, if too wary, you could miss a few gems that are deliberately passed on in between the manipulation tools by some. I just recently read an article. More and more humans are becoming allergic to food. There are a few other methods. Societies, cults, sexed people, policing each other, etc. But the above 6 are the core, which has been promoted since the French Revolution. Temperance, conscious form of restraint based on self-knowing to achieve inner order of the soul, which is the unseen you as a whole. The soul is not a part of you. You are one. Restraining the emotions, desires, passions, energies does not mean cutting it off. That will harm you. Beware. But channeling them to work for higher causes after taming them gently. This all does lead to a sober life, yet simpler, filled with gifts because you fully become your own master. Instead of your emotions, desires, passions dictating you how to be. Simultaneously, with this process, you will be cleansing yourself and will be ready to be enlightened by the universal mind. Well, there you go. Be like that which you want to connect with as much as possible. I think that's like Melky saying, be the frequency you want to be. All right. Question. Do you have friends who you meet from outside the bloodlines? And 2, do you feel empathy, hate, or remorse? Answer. 1, yes, but it is not a wise thing to know many people. 2, the body forces you to experience empathy, hate, remorse, and all other emotions, together with desires and passions, to confuse you, make you forget yourself, become a dumbed-down version of yourself. They have their foundation in this material physical world. The more you let them be your masters, the stronger you will chain yourself to this world, which is contrary to your duty. Yet, do not loathe them. Respect. I channel them to a place where they can be used for something substantial. We've read about this. We're going to read more about it. It's one of the principles of magic, folks. Question. So, I am asking, how does one reconnect with a divine source? How does one rise above this prison? Answer. I reckon my answer today have covered that. If not, you personally ask again, I shall answer tomorrow. Question. I am saying each of us is God, the ultimate source, but we are our own God due to the fact that we create our own reality. What say you, insider? You're partially described free will and the impression it can give you, nothing more or less. Also, the word love has many traps, especially the way you used it. Bam. Question. Reference. Earth is a prison. Are you referring to light trapped in matter? If yes, well, I had never thought about that. Then I'm beginning to see all points you've alluded to so far. Answer. Trapped would be the wrong word. It would imply that the divine had wrong intentions. Rather, constructed in a way so, or enveloped through. Comment by insider to the person who is called 3D3R. Some of the things you described are directly linked to the powers of the universal mind. Like I said, everyone can pick that up. If you can, it means you are at a higher stage than others. However, be aware of how you use it. It is not yours, not in this realm. Also, it could be a deceiving beginning of something else which many people experience. I reckon, too, rituals would initiate you and let you truly see what it is, but when that time arrives, you will be guided to them. Wow. Question. They include the sheik in the desert whom Jesus encountered during his travels and from whom he received a blessing. Wouldn't you happen to know anything about that? Okay. Answer. I know some people which Jesus of Nazareth happened to encounter were insiders. The 3 kings being the first right after his birth, which were actually 5, but 2 were present in the background. The number 3 is the story, serves a symbolic purpose, like so many things read slowly. The gifts were the symbolistic artifacts, some ancient, which through rituals would initiate him into his chosen task. For this, he needed to travel to certain places. I have said a few times, and I will repeat for the last time, he was not the real Christ. He was made to appear like one by being guided throughout his life up to his death, and after that, the documenting of the words which started long before his death, although rewritten again at a later time to release. The 5 kings were present too during his crucifixion, and Jesus of Nazareth knew he would have a response. If Jesus of Nazareth knew, he would have responded differently if they were not there. Jesus of Nazareth was always aware that he was being guided by them. In fact, he sometimes actively searched them for them and then other insiders. He gave up on 2 occasions, but was guided back. That's some new teaching. Question. The elite are making it oil look like it is being constantly restored, but are actually storing it. I'd appreciate your thoughts on this. He wrote, the earth is storing it until they get used. The ones in power just tap into it. Although there are some factions above the puppets, and they are responsible for the misconception most have, which you describe together with the statement that the resources are disappearing. It is the way I described in the previous post. The writing has some errors. 1, the Anunnaki are rulers from a different era. They are gone and replaced by others. About 10 to 15,000 years from now, yes, the earth will still be alive. People will find text about the rulers of this era, thinking it still applies to theirs. Those texts have been written in for the majority part already. If what was written in this text were true, it would mean that at the moment the earth, star friends, and angels would be now rebelling against the divine law of the One, which is an abomination to even suggest. I had to be very careful how I articulated that, not to fall into the trap too. Okay. If the person who wrote it does not restore it, she will achieve the opposite of what she desired, and taking many souls with her who accepted this. Again, accept no human intervention between you and the divine. 3, the struggle is on a personal level. That means you only can do it. Do not wait for saviors. Wow. Okay. Well, all right, we'll be back tomorrow. Well, tomorrow's with Trini. We'll still finish this. Wow. I'm just sitting here going, okay. Gonna have to digest that, aren't I? Wow. Woo! All right. I'm telling you, this is a trippy place. There's just no doubt about it. And we were discussing this last night. When it really gets down to it, we could all be in a room holding hands, sharing the energy, but it still comes down to the fact it's you. If you're married in a significant relationship, the love only ascends so far. We can never know what the other person is thinking, except if you look what's going on with transmutation, of transhumanism. If they can get a machine into the thinking aspects of our brain, I mean, folks, this is getting down back to where that virus is living. The ramifications on this is, I think, disastrous. But, of course, I would be considered to be, well, you're not being fully observant of all possibilities. Yeah, I see the upside, but I don't like the aspect of when you start inserting something of an artificial nature into that which was created until we can actually define for sure something that is beyond our capacity, we can do all the gene manipulation we want. The fact is, we never created the gene to begin with. So paradise it's really up here. Now, if it's up here, then it should carry over. And who knows? Maybe we'll find enough of us who, or all of it. If you listen to Insider, well, we're screwed because even the music's got us trapped. I don't know. I still say rock and roll broke all the paradigms. I'm just saying. But then again, I'm sorry if I offend you with my common sense. Folks, you're the best. Listen, we're all learning. We just got to learn to love one another, be respectful, love in the sense that it's consideration, empathy, not being so quick to bite back at someone. And we're all just trying to figure it out. And we don't need religion for it. I mean, either we exist afterwards or we don't. I happen to choose that we do, and I happen to think that like minds, as magnetism works, will draw us together. We'll be amongst our soul tribes, and hey, we'll go tripping off into the universe. I think there's tours available. I do. Put my reservation in. I want to go through the galaxy. I'll take the Milky Way. I won't even be, so bold to go say I want to go to the Andromeda system. I just kind of dig just to trip through the Milky Way. I think it's going to be cool. I want to go see a black hole. I want to go through it. I want to see what that feels like. Holy crap, can you imagine it? Yeah, baby. And why is that? Why does that require reincarnation? Why does that require some kind of level of holiness or perfectedness? It's out there. If we're truly energy beings, so I'll get the bus ready. Y'all just send me reservations and I'll make sure that the bus will be ready for us as we all transcend over. Because remember, when you transcend over, time is not measured by tick-tock, tick-tock. Joyce, I think you're right. If we all did a group out-of-body experience, I see that happening when we all come together. We'll work that out as everything else. All right, folks. Been far out. This has been cool. Thank you all. You make my day. Thank you for sharing your energy. Hope I've returned the favor back. And see you tomorrow with Trina. In the meantime, have fun. That's the best thing, right? I guess it's all in our control, right? All right. Peace. Bye-bye.